Hi everyone, I'm JD from Willowbound Journals, and today I have a journal with me video working in my yearly journal, which is also my intentional life journal. And today I am documenting the Barbie movie that I actually saw twice. I was pretty excited to see this movie the first time and the second time, but especially the first time because so many people I'd heard from said it was good and deeper than you would expect. And I love going deep, so when I heard that, I had high hopes for this movie. I I saw it, yeah, like I said, twice. The first time by myself, and the second time with friends. And I'm really glad that I did see it twice because I really did need that second watching. There is so much to talk about because I feel like there were so many messages packed into this movie, and basically the first time I watched it, I just left feeling a bit confused. That was the overriding feeling, and so I was a bit let down because of that. And I just wasn't sure what the main message was. I didn't know what to focus on because it was just like so many things. And in some ways, I felt like some of the messages weren't followed through. Some of them even contradicted and didn't make sense. But after the second watching, I just took them all in as thought starters. Rather than following through on each message, it's sort of like the movie says, how about this? Let's think about this. And then you can run with that yourself after the movie. And if you want to follow that through, you can think about that. And so that's kind of what this video is all about, as I share, you know, the things that I got out of the movie and what it made me think about. Not necessarily that this is the main messages of the movie, but I love that we can take anything, a book, a movie, a conversation, life experience, and we can run with it, and that can teach us and we can get something out of it. And so that's what this movie has done for me. So yeah, I hope you enjoy hearing my thoughts as you just watch me go about my journal page here, and this video will probably be looped because I've got quite a lot to share. Because yeah, like I said, there's so many deep messages in this movie. I'm only going to cover the ones that really stuck out to me and got me thinking, because that's what I love most about movies, other than, being drawn into a world that you can get lost in. I love a movie that can make me think and see things differently and give me new insights. I love that we can go into a movie and see our world differently through new eyes. That's the same as books. When we read a book and finish it, the book helps us see our world through new eyes. So anyway, this video does have spoilers, so it's probably going to be more for people who have already seen the movie, or for people who aren't going to watch it and you just want to have fun listening and thinking about these topics that I'm going to talk about, which will include stereotypes, a Christian perspective of the movie, how to live, and identity. Some of my favourite topics, faith, life, and identity. So first, stereotypes. And the movie delves into not only the stereotype of the Barbie doll and female appearance, but also the more broader stereotype of how men and women are, seen and treated in the world. And in Barbie Land, women rule the world and the men are overlooked. And so when Barbie and Ken enter the real world, Barbie comments that it's like this world is reversed and it's the men that rule this world. And one example that really kind of typifies this is when there was this scene of a group of CEO type men, all in business suits looking important. They were talking in a group and a lady came up to say something and she was just dismissed. Oh, not now. Whereas in Barbie Land, all the women were respected. And in this world, in the real world, Barbie found that the men were ogling her, saying inappropriate things to her and invading her space. And the movie took this male-female dynamic to an 11, right? It just showed one side of the stereotype. Because, of course, not all not all men and women are like this. And not all dynamics between men and women are like that. So that's on the one hand. But on the other hand, yes, there is an oppressive reality where for some people these stereotypes can be really harmful for both men and women, and especially though for a lot of women, or some women, can be quite, is well known, oppressive, and so taking the stereotypes to an 11, while not always being accurate, and at the same time maybe not being accurate enough depending on who you are and what situation you find yourself in, the movie allows the viewer to think about it because of taking that stereotype to an 11. And our response to it, perhaps to laugh or get angry or to feel uncomfortable, we can let that prompt us to wrestle with these stereotypes, and then hopefully let that lead us to do our best to minimize people's suffering, the people who do suffer, the men and women who suffer from these stereotypes. And then along with this idea, I love the quote when Barbie says that she wants to do the imagining and not be the idea, which is a quote that I think lots of people pull out from this movie, and it can apply to so many of the stereotypes and expectations, going with the social commentary of the film about the male-female dynamic of men ruling the world. This idea of women and men don't have to fit that cultural idea of what it is to be a woman or man. Things like, of course, men can do housework and women can work as construction labourers and have equal wages. Men and women can have equal wages, and, men can be stay-at-home dads too, and all this kind of stuff. Women can be CEOs. And in the movie, another idea of breaking that stereotype is Barbie doesn't just have to be a doll, representing all the ideals that make lots of women feel bad about themselves, about their body, about their appearance. She doesn't have to be limited to what she's become by the people putting those things onto her, if that makes sense, and what she represents. Instead of just being that idea, she ends up choosing at the end of the movie to be a human, because she doesn't want to be the idea and controlled by other people's ideas of her. She wants to say, who she is. And taking that into our world, we can also break out of our social or family expectations. For example, I'm just going to speak for me in my life. I was brought up believing creative jobs weren't real jobs, and it took me 26 years to break out of that idea and choose creativity for myself. I thought that I had to do practical jobs. I thought I had to be, a scientist or something. And not in science. I love science. really, really love science. But I thought to be a proper person in the world, you couldn't do a creative job. And now look at me now. But another one was, people may think I'm too old to wear tutus and tiaras, but at the age of 37, I'm finally claiming I'm the Willow Princess, and I want to dress like one, I want to decorate like one, I want to craft like one, and say I am a princess, and not worry what people think about that, and have them limit me, have an idea of this is who you are, or this is what you're like, and this is what you wear. It's like, nope, new expectations, new ideas. I am going to wear my tiaras, I'm going to wear my tutus and wear sparkles and love it. Another example, the Christian culture that I was in told me there was something wrong with me when I had depression and anxiety, for example. And it took me 2 years of pain to learn that, God loved me and would use me to help others, even if I had depression and anxiety the rest of my life. And this has become sort of one of my messages that I am always speaking about, advocating for, is that there's nothing wrong if you have depression or anxiety. You don't need to be fixed. You are so loved and you have such an impact in the world with or without it. And speaking of Christianity, the next point I want to chat about is a Christian perspective of Barbie, the movie. And now I enjoy watching film analysis videos, and I saw this video by Coley where he talked about a Christian perspective of the Barbie movie, and I loved it, and it made me see the movie differently. And in fact, I watched his video after the first time watching, and then I saw the movie the second time, and it made me really appreciate it from this other perspective, this other deeper through line of the movie. This idea here that Barbie Land is like Eden. It's this perfect place where every day is just perfect for these Barbies, but then things start to change and Barbie gets flat feet and cellulite, and she starts having some darker thoughts, and to fix it she has to go to the real world. And when she goes to the real world, one of the first things she says is that she feels conscious, and it's of herself that she's conscious of. And this mirrors the idea of, shame entering the human experience, where now people can feel ugly and no good and want to hide. In Barbie Land, Barbie never felt ugly or no good. She never wanted to hide. But in this world, it was, now those feelings were coming out. And Barbie initially wanted things to go back to how they were in Barbie Land. And she says how she never wanted anything to change, and that change is terrifying. And Gloria, a human from the real world, tells her, well, that's life. It's all change. And Barbie learns that change isn't bad. And actually change makes life better. And I love that moment when she sees the old lady sitting next to her, and she says to her, "You're beautiful." And the lady says back to her, "I know it." And this beauty seen in aging, it didn't exist in Barbie Land. No one aged. There were no blemishes or imperfections in Barbie Land. And so there's this greater beauty in change. Change comes with pain and aging and blemishes and fear and uncertainty. And that's our life. That is life. And instead of fighting it and hiding from it and crumbling and falling apart, we can see the beauty in it. And the Barbies did. They had the chance to take everything back to the way it was in Barbie Land, but they chose not to. They didn't want things back to the way it was when it was perfect. And this makes me think about how to live, how to respond to change and the realities of the pain and, imperfections and flaws in life, that we can find the beauty in it all, in the change, in the terror, in the aging. And I know this might be contested and downright incorrect, but maybe, just maybe, the world is better because of what the Christians call, the fall. Maybe there is more glory and beauty and wonder outside of Eden, and God knew it all along. Maybe, I don't know, but I love how Barbie and Houston Coley introduced me to this new thought. And as a Christian myself, I love that. I love this idea, because even if it isn't incorrect, even if it's not accurate, I think there's still something to take away from it. Just like anything, any idea, any thought, we don't have to throw all of it out. We can find something in it that can maybe push our thoughts further, teach us something. And this thought, even if it isn't incorrect, I love that what it's kind of getting at, that we don't have to have it all together, that there's nothing wrong with us because we don't have it all together, and that, like I was saying, we don't have to be fixed from things like depression or anxiety, and that we can embrace the heartache and the terror of change while walking with beauty and kindness and love. And so then the last thing I want to mention in this video is about identity. And I think my favourite line from the movie is when Gloria claims that she is weird and dark and crazy. And I think so often we think we have to be strong and we have to know what we're doing and we have to look right and be right and not make mistakes or whatever. But I think many of us can relate to Gloria, and we try so often to deny our darkness and pretend it's not there, and work on ourselves to get rid of it, but I love that we can just let it be and it's all okay. There are probably lots of people who thought the same as I did when Gloria said those words, because what I was thinking in my head was, oh, that's me. I am weird and dark and crazy. And she had the chance to deny it, deflect it, downgrade it, and be like, oh, no. But she just claimed it and owned it, and I love that. And I hope I can be a person who leads by example and own it myself, so that others can be free to own it too. and easier said than done, of course, right? Because I can so easily fall into the trap of trying to pretend I have it all together and to hide the darkness in me and the ugly parts of myself. But I want to get better at that, be vulnerable and be real and be a human. Humans have darkness and ugliness in them, but that doesn't make us unlovable. That doesn't mean we have to be isolated and alone. It doesn't make us, the darkness isn't ugly. We can find the beauty in the ugliness, if that makes sense. Life is scary and it's painful and it's full of change. So of course it makes sense that no one has it all together. So why are we all pretending we do and thinking that we have to have it all together? And then this brings me to, I guess, the Ken message. And I love that this movie actually is just as much about Ken as it is about Barbie. And that, it subverts some things here. He didn't know who he was without Barbie. And I love that Barbie apologized to him for overlooking him. And I also enjoyed the fact that they, didn't end up together and they didn't go down that trope. I love that he starts his journey of finding out who he is at the end of the movie. And I'm thinking, we're all there with you, Ken. And as soon as I saw his t-shirt that he wore, I'm like, I want a Ken shirt. That's brilliant. I thought that was just so brilliant. We're all here stumbling and exploring and finding out who we are. And while we are in the midst of all of that messiness, we are enough. We don't have to know who we are before we are enough. Without the partner, the family, the friends, the job, the money, the possessions, the status, whatever, we don't have to rely on that to tell us who we are, to get our worth from that. We already are beautiful just as we are, and are lovable just as we are, and worthy just as we are. So some really deep messages in this movie. There's a lot of them. But I think my favorite main one, I guess, is just that there's beauty in the change, in the pain, in the fear, in the terror. And because that's what life is. Often we think that those things aren't good, that those things we need to get rid of, that those things aren't the way things should be. But they are the way things are. And it's how we deal with them and how we respond. We don't fall apart and go, well, that's it, life sucks. We find the beauty in the aging. We find the beauty in the darkness and in the being with each other in it. And in the knowing we're all in it together, not having it all together. And this idea that we aren't alone in this human experience, in this human condition. And if we can just be kind to each other and love each other with all of our darknesses and ugliness and with all of the pain in the world and the uncertainty and the change, that is all bearable and beautiful if we can still love each other and be with each other in it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on that movie and this journaling video. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys. A big thank you to my beautiful patrons who supported me in July. I literally cannot do this without you, so it means the absolute world to me. If you would like to support me for the month of August, feel free to head on over to my Patreon. The link is down below in the description box, and that is where you get access to extra videos, the Make a Journal With Me series, and the sneak peeks to my journals and creations and first access for all of those, plus printables, every digital kit in my Etsy, and mail tiers, and lots of fun goodies over there. You are also welcome to donate through PayPal or buy me a coffee as a once-off thing anytime. Thank you so much for all of your support and for being here with me on this creative journey.